I want to talk to you today about a subject that is personal to me. I grew up half of my formative years in the Arab Muslim world, and in the other half, I lived in the West. I grew up around people who feared Westernization, and now I live in Western societies where some people fear Islamification. That word alone stirs many emotions. When it's usually accompanied by selective videos, refugees fighting, a group of niqabis walking down the street, as if these images are proof of some grand takeover. In this series, I want to unpack that fear and ask a simple question. Is there any evidence based argument behind it? Usually, it's a mix of anxiety, misunderstanding about a religion, and a broader discomfort with cultural change. Now, fear of Islam taking over public life, institutions, or cultural norms becomes Islamophobia when it turns into prejudice, stereotyping, and hostility. But let's also be fair. Not every concern about cultural change is hatred. Many people worry about losing the familiar languages, traditions, and rhythms that they grew up with. Change can feel like loss. So the real question is this. Are we examining those worries with facts, or are we feeding them with selective examples and worst case fantasies? One common mistake is treating Islam as one uniform political project. In reality, Islam is a vast and diverse religious tradition practiced by more than 2 billion people across many cultures and languages and political systems. There are secular Muslims, atheist Muslims, liberal Muslims, conservative Muslims, cultural Muslims, and everything in between. Reducing all of that to one intention, to Islamify society, ignores reality and makes fear easier to sell. Another confusion is what actually drives cultural change. People often blame immigration, but globalization is just as powerful. Media, film, music, fashion, influencers, business, tourism, cell phones, money crosses borders daily. Western culture has shaped cities across the world without Western people physically moving there. In the same way, non-Western cultures influence Western societies. That is not always a takeover. Most of the time, it's blending, adaptation, and cultural exchange. And remember, in many Muslim majority countries, people have long feared Westernization, not mainly because of immigration, but because of media dominance, political influence, education, and economic power. Cultural anxiety is a two-way street. So instead of alarmist narratives, we should ask better questions. How integrated are communities? What legal protections exist for freedom, equality, and civic order? How do we protect shared values without turning neighbors into enemies? In most Western democracies, no single group can simply walk and rewrite the entire civic framework. Yes, there are fanatics and extremists on all sides, but extremism is not defeated by feeding into that fear. It's defeated by education, tolerance, justice, and a strong civic values. We are living in a more global and diverse age. Things will not look exactly the same as we grew up. The real question is not how to stop the world from changing, but how can we make it a greater, richer, and more humane while protecting the shared values that allow all of us to live with dignity. Thank you.